Hello ladies and gents, reluctant biker here. I hope each of you is doing well. I would like to take a moment and thank you for joining me in this video where I will share with you some of the shortcomings of the Moto Guzzi V73 Stone. So if you're interested in this type of thing, please stick around and we are going to get started. One of Guzzi's biggest drawbacks is its suspension, in my opinion. It's harsh and at times debilitating over long rides. The bike does not do a good job absorbing small or large bumps and potholes. In fact, I'm deeply alarmed at how poorly Guzzi performs in this area, especially since this issue is quite widespread among the three generations of the Guzzis, with the exception of the Racer, which is why the suspension is among the first upgrades among many Guzzi owners. I should point out that the 850s, which came out this year, 2021, are reported to have better suspension than the previous Guzzi generations. Not much can be done to the stock shocks to improve the suspension. Nevertheless, owners such as I have two options: upgrade the suspension by buying a pair of new aftermarket shocks, or invest in an appropriate AirHawk cushion seat. If money is a concern, then an AirHawk cushion might be a worthwhile investment, and I can attest from personal experience that it is. It has saved my behind this summer. Without the added AirHawk cushion seat, I would have never been able to go touring all the way up to Maine and cover thousands of miles on my Guzzi. A second area where Guzzi needs improvement involves the tires. Both front and rear stock tires are Pirelli Sport Demon. I have to admit that I love the way they look. Very demonic, truly. And they do grip well in a straight line, on bends and in twists, and on well-paved roads. They, however, are very temperamental and unpredictable and extremely unnerving on rutted roads. I recently did a trip from New York City to Maine, and on my way there I came upon a rutted stretch on the highway which caused my heart to beat in ways I hope never to have the pleasure of experiencing again. I do not know what causes such perfectly looking tires to tramline, but they do, and do it heartily and shamelessly. That is the main reason many Guzzi owners do away with them as soon as their bank accounts allow them this indulgence. The clutch is another area where Guzzi could do better. In my opinion, the clutch lever is too heavy on the hand, especially if previously you rode a bike with a wet clutch, where the pull-in is effortless. Guzzi states that they have improved the clutch on their third generation bikes compared to their second generation counterparts. Yet the dry clutch can still feel heavy on the hand when in traffic, which is the reason I argue that this bike is not ideal for in-city riding. Let me explain. The dry clutch is not ideal for a traffic-plagued town or city. If traffic is not an issue for where you live, then you will not find the clutch too overbearing, so you might be fine with it. The reason I harp on the dry clutch is that overheating it is a definite possibility. In the manual, Guzzi warns, to avoid overheating the clutch, the time spent with the engine turned on, the vehicle stopped, the gearbox in gear, and the clutch engaged should be minimal. Now I don't see how this issue could be avoided in a town as traffic-plagued as New York City. Next, engine overheating is a serious concern for this bike, a fact that caught me rather by surprise. I purchased this bike in winter, and while riding it in the cold months, I did not notice any issues with the engine overheating. I noticed the engine heating up, but not unpleasantly. As the weather grew warmer, however, the heat from the engine grew more aggressive, and by June, being caught in traffic with it became a great concern. The engine gets super hot. The cylinder heads emit heat as if they were ovens. Thinking that there is something wrong with my bike, I did a bit of research and called the service guys at my dealers. According to anecdotes from the other Guzzi owners, this is typical of new Guzzis during the run-in period. Nevertheless, Engine overheating, according to my Guzzi service guys, is very typical of this air-cooled bike, especially if caught in a slow-moving traffic. Again, my argument in the video where I first reviewed this bike stands. This bike is made primarily for the open road. That's where it shines. Now here's a tip. Avoid riding your Guzzis in the city on hot summer days, and always, no matter the temperature, wear tall leather boots or something to that effect to protect your legs from being roasted. Another area where Guzzi falls short for me is making accessories more accessible to riders on a budget. Let me explain. Guzzis are generally affordable to buy, but very expensive to enjoy. The first service alone will run you about $600. That's exactly what it cost me. Additionally, genuine Moto Guzzi accessories run in hundreds of dollars, and a combination of them can easily run you in the four figures. A single clutch lever will set you back about $250, and a pair of bar and mirrors by about $650. The bone I have to pick with Guzzi is that riders have to pay extra for accessories that should have been on the bike to begin with. Tires, suspension, mufflers, and the mirrors are among the first to be upgraded by Guzzi riders, costing them in the thousands. It's true that they don't call the Guzzis blank canvases for nothing. Finding the neutral on this Guzzi involves guesswork sometimes, and over time it becomes annoying, especially at the end of a long day when you just want things to click on their own as they're supposed to do. Admittedly, at times I like the challenge of looking for the neutral, rationalizing it as my Guzzi's way of playing hide and seek with me. Sometimes finding it is effortless. Other times it demands 5 or more tries. Based on owner anecdotes, this issue seems to be inherent in all the Gen 3 Guzzis. The stock mirrors, aka rabbit ears, are another area where Guzzi could focus a bit more. They are very good, work very well, truly solid mirrors, but they are boring and have absolutely no character or style. I prefer bar and mirrors. Why can't Guzzi put mirrors like Triumph does on its Speed Twin? Now those are mirrors I can get on board with. To that end, they were the first thing to go for me. The stock exhaust is another aspect of this bike that I strongly urge Guzzi to reconsider. The exhaust notes of the stock pipes are muted, muffled, and a bit throaty at times. They are perfectly gentle for a gentleman or a gentlewoman. If you live in a neighborhood where loud noises are frowned upon, then the stock exhaust will not make you new enemies amongst your neighbors. But this quality is a bit dangerous in city streets. In fact, it is a liability. When riding a motorcycle, you want your bike, first, to communicate with other drivers out there for safety purposes, so if they can't see ya, they can hear ya. And second, you want your bike's exhaust sound to have some character while not being obnoxiously loud. Again, I recommend that Guzzi learn from Triumph. I would not mind having the Speed Twins exhaust pipes on my Guzzi. Not at all. The fact that many Guzzi owners, those who can afford them of course, get rid of the stock exhaust pipes as if they were hot iron, Guzzi needs to rethink its approach on this area. This bike gets great gas mileage on the highway, but does really badly in the city. All Guzzis, according to the manual, take premium gas, which is very expensive. And my Guzzi averages between 20 to 30 mpgs in the city, which is on the same par as an SUV. I think that is ridiculous. Now I should point out that I live in New York City, where traffic is always a concern, and traffic lights pepper our city like stars in the Milky Way. Lastly, and in my opinion most importantly, the area where Guzzi needs to work hardest is the look of the bike. Specifically, Guzzi needs to seriously rethink its single analog gauge and its awkward position on the bike. It has left me utterly stumped. The previous Guzzi Stone generations came with dual analog gauges, thus truly capturing that classic look. With the third gen Stones, however, Guzzi removed the tackle, an action that could have been bearable if they had not left the Speedo so perplexingly positioned to the left. Leaving it so, Guzzi has achieved several things. First, it has significantly disfigured its otherwise very symmetrical and well-designed bike. It has demeaned its classic look and reputation, and most importantly, its in-your-face position fills riders such as me with nausea and utter dislike. Every time I get on my Guzzi, that is the one thing that almost makes me get off the bike. It is such an eyesore. I would have swallowed this insult or blemish if Guzzi had at least placed the analog gauge in the center, just like the Triumph has done with its twin bikes. I would not have minded that too much. The Italians are supposed to be masters of design, but in this, they failed miserably. Miserably. I am deeply disappointed in them. Ladies and gents, we have come to the end of this video. This channel was designed to help other fellow bikers or those thinking of joining our community. So please feel free to leave a comment and/or feedback if you think that it might be helpful to someone. You may also subscribe if you enjoyed the video and would like to hear from me again. My next video will focus on the strengths of my Guzzi. Until next time, be well and always ride safely. I hope you are enjoying this beautiful summer wherever you are.